Hello, and welcome to Intermediate English with Gregg. That's me. So, let's get started. Well, as usual, let's warm up with the weather.
Greg, how's the weather today?
The low temperature will be about 10 degrees today. The low temperature will be about 10 degrees today. This is easy, but let's check the board. Well, of course, our usual question, how's the weather today? In the previous lesson, we talked about the high temperature, and today, just the opposite, talking about the low temperature. Of course, the low temperature will be, and then something, degrees. Okay. Now, of course, in summertime, it might be a low temperature of 18 degrees, a low temperature of 21 degrees. Of course, in winter, it can often become minus. So the low temperature will be minus 5 degrees, or the low temperature will be minus 11 degrees. Okay? So, of course, we could also use minus when talking about a low temperature. Okay? Now, again, the word temperature is an option. Okay? Now, of course, the word Celsius, there's also a word in English called Fahrenheit. Okay? It's just a different system for measuring temperature. However, most of the world uses the Celsius system. Now, you don't have to use the word Celsius. Okay? One of the few countries that still uses this system, Fahrenheit, is America. Why America has not changed, I'm not sure. The Celsius is a much easier system. Okay? But it is very, very different. Okay? So, as an example, of course, Celsius, if I said it's, for example, 0 degrees Celsius, so it's freezing. Okay? Of course, in Fahrenheit, that's actually 32 degrees. Okay? So, if you ever meet an American and you said, today the high, or that you said for example, the high temperature will be 32 degrees, okay? Someone from America, 32 degrees Celsius is very hot. 32 degrees Fahrenheit is very cold. So you might have some strange reactions sometimes. Okay? But most of the world uses this, and really, we do not need to add this. Just use the 10 degrees, 15 degrees, 20 degrees. So, I'll ask today's question, and if you know the low temperature today, please use that. So, how's the weather today? I see, great. Now, for today's lesson. Well, for today's lesson, we're going to finish this idea of changes with a review and a conversation. Now, the patterns that we have studied previously are the ideas used to and didn't used to, more, fewer, less, and then, of course, is becoming or has become. We can use these to talk about changes. Now, for our final lesson, you're going to listen to a short conversation. The conversation is about Yamanakako. Okay? And I'm going to talk about 8 changes in Yamanakako. Okay? Now, if you can catch all 8, that's wonderful. Okay? If you want to get a pen or a notepad to catch or to write down these changes, great. If you just want to listen and try to catch them in your head, that's fine. Okay? So, I am going to talk about 8 changes. After the conversation, we'll check how many you could catch and how many you couldn't. Okay? But the conversation is maybe not so difficult. Okay? But let's try this.
Hi, I'm writing a blog about the changes in Yamanakako. Could you please teach me a few?
Sure. Yamanakako is becoming more international. There are more foreign tourists now. Also, Yamanakako didn't used to be so warm. People used to skate on the lake in winter.
That's interesting. Anything else?
Let's see. Anything else? Let's see. Other changes. There used to be a McDonald's in Yamanakako. And there didn't used to be so many sightseeing spots. Now there are more ways to enjoy Yamanakako. However, the lakeside road has become more congested with cars and cyclists, especially in summer.
Thank you for your help.
Sure, anytime. Now, right, could you catch all of the changes that I talked about? Right? Now, okay, maybe you agree with my changes, maybe you have a different opinion, right? But could you catch them? Right? Let's quickly talk about the 8 different changes. The first, right, we were talking about the changes in Yamanakako. We were talking about maybe sightseeing idea. Right? The first change I said was, right, Yamanakako talking about Yamanakako is becoming more international. Right? So this, using the pattern, is becoming. Right? I also talked about the idea using more. Talking about there are more foreign tourists now. Right? So the first 2 changes, using this idea is becoming, or using the idea there are more, right, were the first 2 changes I discussed. Right? Now, right, for the next 2 changes, it was related to the weather and seasons. Could you catch those 2 changes? For the third change, I used the idea didn't used to, because I said it didn't used to be so warm. Like, especially even this winter, right? This winter was, perhaps compared to winters past, this winter was very mild. Right? So Yamanakako didn't used to be so warm. And then I used the idea used to, because I said, right, people used to skate on the lake, right, in winter. Right? Maybe like this last winter, there was no chance to skate on the lake. Maybe the lake was not frozen. Right? So, right, I did use this idea didn't used to, and the idea used to. Okay. Now, right, for the next 3 changes, I was talking about some places. Okay. Well, actually, maybe 4. The last 4 was all talking about places. Okay. The first one, I said, again, using the pattern used to, I said there used to be a McDonald's. Right? And then, of course, again, using didn't used to, right, there didn't used to be so many sightseeing spots. Okay. So we're talking about, again, this idea used to and didn't used to. Okay. Yes, there used to be a McDonald's, but there didn't used to be so many sightseeing spots. Okay. Maybe years ago, there was no flower park. Or years ago, maybe the cycling path or the cycling road around the lake was very limited. Kirara did not exist years ago. So there are maybe, there didn't used to be so many sightseeing spots. In the past, of course, no. But now, there are more. Talking about that change. Okay? Okay. Again, use the word more. I said there are more ways. Okay. There are more ways to enjoy Yamanakako now. Right? Using again this pattern of more. Okay. And finally, okay, the last one I said was talking about the lakeside road. Okay. I talked about the lakeside road. The lakeside road. Okay. The lakeside road has become more congested. And I used congested with cars and cyclists. Okay. But the main point was using it has become more congested with cars and cyclists in summer. Now, this word, congested, okay, do you know the word congested? Okay. Another way to use when you talk about the road is congested, it's talking about traffic jams. The number of cars. Okay. Maybe, especially in the summer season, especially on some event, there might be a lot of cars or a lot of cyclists on the road. So it is more 混雑してる, or 混んでる, 渋滞. That feeling. It has become more congested maybe in summer. Okay. So, these are just some of the changes about Yamanakako. Now, okay, in the future, if we have a chance to meet in the classroom, okay, I'm interested to hear about some of the changes you have noticed in Yamanakako. Okay? But okay, until then, okay, that's all for today. Okay? See you, hopefully, in the classroom.